Hello and welcome to our company, Let's Go Virtual. I'd like to offer the opportunity of seeing this interview because it is with my Managing Director, founder, owner actually of Let's Go Virtual, Mr. Robert Majeski, who's sitting actually to my left. I'll introduce you shortly to him in a second, and I'm sure that Mr. Majeski, Robert, would like to add a lot of information to you out there as business owners, business managers and so on and so forth, to why virtual reality 3D is absolutely something we should be embracing now, not tomorrow, not in 3 weeks time, not in the future, but now. But first of all, the whole reason for virtual reality and why we're now talking to you today is because this product, without a doubt, brings you more inquiries, more customers, more profit. Anybody that is interested in that and obtaining that really should be looking at this video and really should be taking it in and really actually should be sending some information to us and wanting some information back. But at this point anyway, I strongly advise you to look at the video, take part in what we're talking about, because whilst we push the future away, it is always ready and always there for us to embrace. And of course, if we don't, we will be left behind and by the roadside with many other businesses that, as we all know these days, have actually gone under. So please take some time to look at this, to view this. There is going to be some information that's talked about that will actually shock you, I hope, in the right way. My MD is going to show you some of the customers that we've had, particularly one that in fact has had a virtual tour, bespoke virtual tour done for their business, and wow, what effect it's had on them. So hopefully it would do the same for you, I'm sure it would. But at this point, I'd like to introduce you to, as I say, the co-founder and owner of Let's Go Virtual, Mr. Robert Majeski, and we're going to have a chat about how we feel virtual reality 3D will actually have a major and significant impact on your business as well. So welcome, Mr. Majeski. Hi, welcome, Robert.
Thank you.
Very nice to have you here today.
Yeah, well, I'm delighted to be here. It's great you caught me. I'm really looking forward to this interview, and I hope you guys are going to get a lot from it and really see the benefits of VR and what it can do for you. So without ado, let's crack on. So Alan.
Yeah, there's a few questions I'm going to ask the owner of the company, because it's I think it's very, very important that it comes from the horse's mouth, because clearly it's a position I have today which is very fortunate that I've got the owner of the company to discuss why virtual reality with you out there. So again, as Robert said, without further ado, there's a few things I'm going to speak to Robert about. Hopefully you'll have the answers or the inspiration of why we should have this wonderful product out there to you guys. But anyway, Robert, I'd like to start off by saying thanks for sparing the time today with us, because it's very important that the head of the company, votes his confidence with what we're trying to say. Just a few things I'd like to ask. We do all need new inquiries from wherever they come from. We certainly need to make more profit on the bottom line of our companies. In your mind, what would you say to why and how and where these customers can come from?
Well, you're quite right in what you say. Bringing new blood into your business, or any business, is the most important thing we can ever do. And sometimes we lose sight of this and we get complacent because the business is ticking over nicely, we're achieving the profits we need to, or all the boxes are ticked, and we forget about the future. And if we're not careful, you can actually be left a long way behind without realising it. So this is really where, at the forefront of this new technology of virtual reality, it really is now is the time to step on board and grab it and go forward. I think the easiest way to describe the virtual reality revolution is, do you remember years ago when the old mobile phone came and you had the big battery pack on your back and the great big handpiece, and you were so proud because you got one, and all your friends would say, I don't want one of those, it will never work, what a waste of time. But look at us now, we're all obsessed with them. We take them everywhere with us, they're virtually attached to our hearts. And that's where virtual reality is going to be. And I know this because I've been over in the States where it's very powerful, and I think my biggest memory was the Reltors. if you didn't, as an estate agent would here in the UK, have virtual reality to show a property, no one wanted to list with you because of the power of the immersive ability that it has.
Thank you for that, Robert. Another thing I'd like to ask you is TV advertising. Lots of people now watch TV for many, many reasons, whether it be the news for more information, current affairs and so on and so forth, whether it be their famous Coronation Street or Emmerdale or what have you. But I know you did a lot of research into the cost of TV advertising quite recently, I think, as well, wasn't it? But you get these 3 minutes, 4 minutes, 2 minutes, 30-second adverts offered to you by television companies. Just give us a bit of insight into that and why it's so costly.
Well, television advertising is very simple. You're quite right in what you say. Everybody across the world watches television in their own language, whatever they want to watch. We've now got so many satellite television companies that, you know, if you want Home and Garden or Dancing Channel or Geography Channel or whatever, you can find it. And of course, depending where you want to advertise depends what it costs. So, you know, you can get some very cheap advertising and maybe £100 will get you an advert on television. But you have to think to yourself, what is the point in going in Space Odyssey Tomorrow channel when your customers are wanting to buy a kettle? It's not relevant. You have to choose your marketplace. So of course, going back to traditional television, terrestrial, you go with ITV, BBC, Channel 4, Channel 5, etc. You want your advert in prime time, and prime time is what costs the money. So if you wanted an advert between Coronation Street, EastEnders or whatever, it's going to cost you tens of thousands of pounds, and you have to relate to, is it justifiable, does it work? The thing with television advertising and television itself, it is one of the most powerful medias, there's no doubt about it, and they are actually starting to use virtual reality. The World Cup was done in virtual reality. Car companies are advertising their products in virtual reality. I think Citroën I saw the other day that
And
do
Peugeot.
it. And Peugeot, yeah. So if it's good enough for these people, it's good enough for you. It's good enough if you've got a small sweet shop in the corner of a back street, because at the end of the day, you want the audience, you want the customers, and you can afford it with virtual reality.
Yeah, thanks for that, Robert. I think on that subject of television, of course, clearly virtual reality is running a very close second at this time to the TV. Of course, everybody watches television, and you know, the sort of audience we're after, or you are after, I should say, is a very large one. You want to be in a position where you're getting your fair share of the right customers that want to buy your products, features, benefits, services. And of course, VR will give you that. But as Robert said, TV advertising is very, very, very expensive. In comparison to virtual reality 3D products, there is no comparison in costs. So, yeah, thanks for that, Robert. Just a few other things I'd like to ask as well. When people view VR, it sometimes scares them, I suppose. And sometimes they think, well, it's too expensive, I can't afford that because of the clarity in 3D, 4K. And of course, then they think, well, if we can't afford it, we won't inquire about it. Would that be a reasonable suggestion to say to you?
No, it wouldn't. It's a fact. Let's be honest, as people, human beings, if you want something, you'll find the funds for it. If you want a Mars bar, you will find the money for a Mars bar. If you want a bottle of Bolly, you'll find the money. It depends what value you put on the product. Now, I know for a fact our virtual reality is more than affordable for every business. You know, I shouldn't possibly say at this point, but I mean, you know, a small business, depending what you want, you could invest as little as £99. But you know, it's all down to size, space, etc. But you can't put a value on it because of the return it will give you. You know, some people spend tens of thousands on a virtual tour because the business is that big, but that business can justify it. So it really is a personal, bespoke service to every single person, and that's why you just need to talk to us, and we will explain it to you. But there's no doubt about it. It's a must-have.
Thanks, Robert. I think it's important to understand that when Robert just mentioned about costs, if you all as business owners, business managers, know what your cost per head, customer-wise, marketing is costing you currently, you will be amazed at how many more inquiries virtual reality 3D showcases can give you versus what you're currently advertising your cost spend. I happen to know that bit of case because my previous jobs were involved with marketing analysis and so on and so forth, most definitely in many industries. And I was an advisor for many industries in all types of industries, as my MD was. And you'd be astonished actually to know what your current cost per customer inquiry is versus what tripling, quadrupling that inquiry level could be versus the cost of virtual reality 3D. But yes, thanks for that, Rob. Also, I'd like to just give you a fact example. Robert has facts of delightful facts actually of one particular company or business we've recently done a virtual reality tour for. I'm sure he'd like to tell you about that because he's very proud for the owner of the business, certainly, who he knows personally, as well as what they've achieved from one of our bespoke virtual tours. So just tell us a bit about that, Robert.
Yeah, a close friend of mine who has a hotel. They came on board with us at the beginning of June. One thing that's very good about our product is it actually produces statistics on the website hits. So every time the link of the tour is sort of clicked, it will record it. So you've got statistics to then give back to yourself to say your tour's working for you or it's not. It's not a case of the tour isn't working, it's a case of where you've put the tour and how you get the marketplace. It's like a website. You can have a fantastic website, but if you don't have the right tags, meta tags, etc., nobody will ever know it's there.
Right.
But this particular hotel, you know, he's very, very conscientious of where he markets. He constantly changes prices. He's very up to the minute always to try and keep his hotel fully booked. I know the virtual tour's been put on the home page of his hotel along with booking agents, etc. But just to give you an idea of the power, if I said to you that I can bring you 5,000 inquiries a month for having a virtual tour, would you say yes please or no thank you? I think we know the answer, don't we? The reality is, if I take it down to nuts and bolts, that is actually the top level of inquiry, which is where the spiders, the crawlers and all the things on the web come together. When you break it down to Pacific visitors, because we have 3 levels of tiers that show it, the same customer actually had 11,600 hits over the 4 months. So break that down, that is nearly 3,000 genuine people that have actually physically clicked on the virtual tour, opened it up and explored. Now let's be honest, that hotelier, there's no way he's going to have had 3,000 people book a room that night. He'd be in heaven if it was. But let's put it down to reality. He charges an average of £150 a night for a room. If out of those 3,000 people a month, 750 people a week, if he had 10, it's paid for itself tenfold. But he'll have had more, but it's the inquiries. That what you do with them and when people ring, how your staff deal with them.
Yeah.
But you know, what price can you put on that? You can't, and that's all thanks to the virtual tour. It has transformed his business.
Brilliant.
So as he said to me, his investment, he could have paid us 10 times what he paid us and he'd still be happy. So that is the power of it. So that goes for everyone.
Once again, Robert, thanks for that. Just to finish on that point, if I may. Look, this day and age, we're all chasing the same thing, inquiries. Inquiries is the only way we're going to survive in our business, in our arenas, wherever we are, whatever we do. Clearly then it's down to the cost of how much is it going to cost us to get customers through our doors. That is vital. That is the information we're all searching for. Virtual reality, well-known fact, goes out to more people and more people take up the want to view before they buy, whether it be for product, whether it be for service, whether it be for accommodation, whether it be for holidays. People genuinely nowadays want to see what they're getting before they actually get their checkbook out. Because I think you'll agree, it's only a fair deal. Of course, with virtual reality, 3D, especially the 3D bit, it immerses you in the tour itself. It makes people see you for what you really are. And if you are very proud of that, then a virtual reality tour, I would definitely say, is for you. Again, we're all chasing these inquiries, and Robert perfectly said that, you know, it's all about the cost per inquiry. Talking to us, we can explain just how the cost per inquiry can be so much cheaper than what you're currently doing or add to it. So thanks for that, Rob. And a few other things I'd like to discuss with Robert. Rob, the product itself, obviously there are certain ways that we offer this facility in certain packages and from A to B, from gold, silver, bronze, from platinum, from the top cover, and so on and so forth. It does depend on what type of product you want from us, doesn't it, as far as the costs go? Like, tell us a little bit about that.
Absolutely. We try and keep everything, if you like, simple, stupid. It's the best way because there's no complication and it's all easy to understand.
That's on the website, yeah.
Absolutely. Our website's full of information, but the best thing always is voice to voice because, we can talk, we can communicate, and we can bespoke a package to you. I think the most important thing to remember is that all of our packages obviously come with the immersive tour. There's lots of add-ons that you can have for marketing, for pins, for playing YouTube videos, photo galleries, books, you name it. The product has so much available from it to you. But I think the most important thing that really you must remember with virtual reality, as much as we talked at the beginning about how TV is one of the most powerful medias out there, if you're watching, for example, X Factor, when you're sat watching that screen, you know how the camera all of a sudden goes to the back of the auditorium and it goes here and you've got all that going on in front of you. That is because they've got hundreds of cameras around that arena doing that for you and all connecting together to make it feel...
Creating the excitement.
What they can't do, and they might do in time, but at the moment they can't, they cannot create the virtual reality feeling because the virtual reality is literally... It's immersing the customer from the comfort of their own surroundings into your surroundings.
Like
so imagine like in our office here, you're sat 10,000 miles away wherever, and I'm inviting you by a virtual tour to have a look in. What you're seeing now is literally a static picture, but I can have the ability to turn around like this and I can see absolutely everything that the place has to offer from floor to ceiling, left to right, and I can go by step, inch by inch.
Very powerful.
And if you're proud of your business, you don't mind showing it off. And I think just going back to what Alan said a few minutes ago, regarding marketing, everyone goes onto these review sites these days because we all like to see what other people have wrote and whatever, but unfortunately, from being in these industries myself, sometimes people can be a little bit cruel. And when you've got a review put on your site that says something detrimental, all you can go back with is, oh, I'm ever so sorry, we can offer you a complimentary night or whatever. But that doesn't really help the business because the next person seeing it thinks, oh, they had a bad experience. The power of virtual reality is that you can actually then write back to that review and say, I actually think you would be most unreasonable
because
because
fixes things.
It does. What you said, I cannot see. So what I'd like to do is put a link here so that all potential people who are reading this review look for yourself and you see if you can agree with what this person's saying, because you can't. And that's a very powerful thing as well.
Robert, thanks very much. I think that about covers most of it. For any more information that you feel that you would like to know about, I'm certainly here. My name's Alan Oliver. Robert is sometimes here and sometimes he's not because he's off all over the world and so on and so forth. But anyway, I'm here to discuss with my staff when we can do virtual tours, when we can do it for you, when we can do screen shares. That's something that lots of people are taking up now because they'd like to do a screen share so there's no logistical issues, i.e. are we travelling to them, they're travelling to us. So please take time to have a screen share with us. But the other thing, the most important thing to remember about this particular product, VR is very much what it says it does on the tin. Lots of other products out there that are available do not do that. They kid you into thinking this is what it's all about and it really ends up in misery because frankly, who wants to buy something that's not going to work for them? No one does. Virtual reality works. There is no doubt it is here to stay right now and it's going to carry you on to the next years and years and years ahead. And it's going to bring that bottom line and make it much, much thicker from a profit point of view. So thanks for your time. And once again, I urge you to go through this video because this is what it's all about. And I'd like to say thanks, Robert, for coming in today. It's very, very good of you. And I look forward to you picking up the phone and speaking to me. Thank you very much for your time.
And I'd just like to add thank you, Alan, for all your input, always valuable as ever. And what he said is totally right. I would say, as a final closing statement, do not do your business the injustice. You need to make contact with us and discuss it because it costs nothing to talk and it could transform your business as it has with many, or get left behind and in a few months' time or years' time look back and think, oh my God, I wish I'd done something. But it's your choice at the end of the day. And wonderful speaking to you guys. Thanks for your time and I wish you well with your business.
Thanks again.